Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa. Welcome to Transfer Hub and a different kind of Transfer Hub. We're going to show you a mysterious Aston Villa right back. We're going to do a little experiment first, aren't we, Earl? So how are you?
Yeah, not too bad.
And Earl has designed a database full of right backs in Europe and the Premier League. We've got all of the best ones, and they're all in different categories. Different categories like ball retainer, progressive passes. We've got progressive dribblers, and there's many, many more. And why we're going to show you this first, we're going to start to think a little bit like Mr. Monchi. So we got talking, and we wanted to develop this and create an episode. And Earl asked me for 3 important attributes that I want to see in a right back. And I said ball retainer, progressive passer, and progressive dribbler. And at home now, start thinking about who was the right back that Villa were linked with. And Earl, you've been able to narrow this down into a few players. So who's the right back that falls into that category?
Yeah, so what I've done here, I've pulled in the data, like you say, for all right backs across the top leagues in Europe. So England, France, Spain, Italy, Germany. And I've broken them down into these 12 categories that you can see across the top. So progressive passer, for example. So this is someone who passes the ball forward, brings the team forward with their passing. And then, so I've gone through each of these different categories that you can see, and then I've given, based on the data, I've given the player a rating between 0 and 10. Okay, so Luke's top 3 categories, currently looking at just the Premier League. We've opened this up to everyone. So Luke's top 3 categories was ball retainer. So this is someone who keeps control of the ball, high passing accuracy, doesn't get dispossessed too often. Then we've got progressive passer, like we say, someone who passes the ball forward a lot. And then progressive dribbler, so someone who's able to dribble the ball forward as well. So putting all those filters together, we then got a list of these players here who are good at those 3 categories.
And I'll tell you what, I mean, who's that there? Number 27, Oscar Mingueza. Who were Villa linked with in January? It was Mingueza. So this database actually shows that there's a lot in this of what Villa are actually looking for. And I identified those 3 things as very important within the Emery system. Number 1, because for as much as Matty Cash cuts back all the time, I actually feel like ball retainer, keeping hold of the ball, is something that's very important. We then want to pass forward, but then we also want to be able to dribble and get forward when we want our right back to be able to do that. And Mingueza falls into that category. You can also see that Sugawara from Southampton, I think he was at Alkmaar. We've been linked with him as well before. So those 2 players that Villa have been linked with tells me that those 3 areas are something that Emery really wants to have from his right back. So do you want to add anything on especially those 2 players that we were linked with?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Like you say, I think the 2 points of having the progressive passing and the progressive dribbling, that kind of comes down to the build-up play that we see a lot of them playing out from the back and those sorts of things. And then ball retaining, like you say, not giving the ball away, things that you want to have when we talk about controlling the game, which is something we hear a lot from Emery as well.
So we're going to have a look at the Premier League now. So we'll have a look at the top right backs who are currently in the Premier League and are at the highest point of those lists as well. Earl, do you think there are any other major areas other than the 3 that I've highlighted that are very important for Villa recruiting a new right back?
Yeah, well, I think all the 12 that I've picked, to be honest, are the ones that you'd look for in a right back. So But the green stats here are the more attacking minded, and the blue ones here are more defensive minded. So when we've talked about progressive passing, at the top of the rankings for those, you've got players like Trent and Timber from Arsenal. Attacking passing, so this would be things like passing the ball into the box, crossing the ball into the box. So if we sort it by this one, you've got Pedro Porro, Rodrigo Gomes, Trent again. Progressive dribbler, so similar to passing, but instead this time we're dribbling the ball forward. You can see Cash, who I've highlighted here in purple. He's one of the better progressive dribblers in the league. We know he likes to dribble the ball forward. Maybe he cuts back at the end of it, but he does dribble the ball forward quite a lot.
So would that rating of 8 show that he dribbles forward a lot, cuts back, which means he keeps hold of the ball? So would that count as being progressive rather than progressive by playing like an actual forward pass?
Yeah, so this is just the dribble itself. So he where he starts from and where he ends up. Now he dribbles the ball forward, starts, turn back, and then passes backwards, which is why his progressive passing is so low. So he'll dribble it forward, cut back, and then pass it backwards.
So this is brilliant because it actually highlights what a lot of Villa fans are seeing then. So he gets on the ball, he goes forward, and because his progressive passes are low, that number from an 8 to a 0.2, that's a massive difference, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Just paints a picture of what you're seeing on the pitch, really.
So if we go to say who's the best progressive passer then, and what would his progressive dribbling look like?
So the best is Trent in the Premier League.
So he's still got a 4.4 progressive dribbler though as well. So that's not bad. I mean, look at Jed Spence there as well. 8.1 progressive passer and an 8.1 progressive dribbler.
Yeah, so a bit of both for Jed Spence.
Yeah, definitely. So if we have a little look then at this list of the Premier League then, and some of the, I mean, who on here could be a realistic target for Villa? And then if we were looking Premier League, I mean, you look at Kyle Walker-Peters on a free, Aina on a is he going on a free? Some of the ones I like the look of, and someone who I think is quite interesting would be Rico Lewis for Manchester City. They look like they're going to be recruiting someone like Livramento, Ain't Nori as well. So he's a player that, looks like his minutes could possibly look like they're going to be really low. Do you think he could be one that we'd look at or not?
Yeah, it's interesting with Lewis. He's obviously a good technical player, but there are other stats that might pull up concern. So when you're looking at Rico Lewis, the ones that stand out to me here is the aerial winner and aerial duel efficiency. So these two, aerial winner is the number of aerial duels that the player wins, and then the duel efficiency is the ratio of how many they win to how many they lose. And he's a bit of a smaller player, not that great in the air. So these kind of areas are not that high for Rico Lewis. When you think then about the Villa squad as a whole, the wider Villa squad, you've got Maatsen at left back, who's maybe similar kind of physical profile, a bit smaller, not that great in the air potentially. So I don't know if you've got two players like that, is that going to make a big issue defending?
Yeah, you are right, because I think we have that sort of vibe with Maatsen on the opposite side, and it would be a bit of a disaster if on either side of both centre halves we've got someone who's really small that's not getting their head on things. And you'll look at another player in the Premier League that I'm not saying I'd like us to sign him, but I think defensively, Jake O'Brien for Everton. I think Moyes has put him at right back, I think, and I think his numbers there of the aerials 9.7 there. That shows you like the defensive side of things that he's brilliant. And So, if I had to ask you then, what type of right back are we going to sign here? Do you think it's going to be an up and downer, or do you think it's going to be a stay at home, a little bit more defensive minded? What type of right back are we looking for?
It's a good question, and the answer is I'm not sure, to be honest. I think we've got Garcia, obviously, who's more a up and down player. I think I'd say Cash is probably a bit of both as well. So if we're looking for something different, then it would be that kind of more defensive minded right back who can slot into the back three at times, or you could go completely opposite of that and someone who's getting forward and maybe a midfielder like Kamara we've seen do it, covers into that space once the right back goes forward. So I think it could go either way, to be honest. I'm not sure what they want.
Yeah. So let's have a look at Europe then. I've got a bit of a vibe that I actually feel like that's the market that we are shopping in, the European market. I don't really feel like anybody really pops out at me in the Premier League that's probably a realistic target for us to go for, I don't think. So if we have a look at Europe then, and the names that are doing the rounds there, and let's have a look to start with then. Who's at number one then? Who is coming out as like the best?
Well, it's a good question. In which category, I guess? Are you looking for more attacking players, defensive players, all rounder? I think we've just seen from the Champions League final. I'd probably say that Hakimi is probably the best at the minute.
So what about if we go like? So we want the three categories that I've said. Maybe like add more creative in there, and aerially, like top at aerials, because I think Emery likes height in his team, doesn't he? And like winning his duels, so like ground duels, aerial duels. What sort of numbers are we going to be getting from those type of players?
What do you say? Creative?
Yeah, because I think we're going to go on to something else towards the end of the show, and I've asked Villa fans in our community to highlight the actual areas that they feel like we need, and it's a good. Some of it's quite fun, some of it's quite funny, and some of it's quite realistic at the same time. So it's interesting to see what the actual fans want, and I think I think a lot of people want to see more up and down creative goals, creation, assists, etc. And so we do look more dynamic as a team. So are these all the big names then?
Yeah. So what I've done, I've just filtered for, like you can say, the ball retainer, so who hold the ball well, progressive passes, and then creative.
So I mean, the name there still, Oscar Mingueza, he's still there. So he's one. Sugawara, I mean, Southampton have been relegated, haven't they? Could he be a player that we look for?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one really, because, like you say, relegated team, that will instantly put a lot of people off. And I think, as an all rounder goes, he's done pretty well in the attacking numbers, like you can see here. Defensive numbers obviously a little bit lower. Does that come down to the team that he's in who are leaking goals? Would he be better in a Villa system potentially? But no, we've not been the best defensively at times as well. Yeah, so I mean it's an interesting one, but yeah, not the best season for him.
I think what we're going to do here as well, we're going to I'm going to write a couple of these names down, and we're going to have a little bit more of a We'll have a little bit more of an in-depth look at some of these on another show, I think. So let me just write some of them down. Right. Who's this Seville guy? Jules Sanchez. We'll have a little look at him. Do you know much about him or not?
Yeah, this guy would be my top pick, and he has been a couple of summers now. to be honest, he's been on.
Who is he then? Talk to us.
Yeah, well, he's a Sevilla right back, wing back type player. He's quite young. I think he's 20, 21. Can't remember off the top of my head, but he's been on the radar of some big clubs, Real Madrid, for example. And it's come down to the point now where they're looking to either move him on or contract extension. So I'm not sure if we might have missed the boat now that the bigger teams have clocked onto him. But yeah, one that I would have looked at a couple windows ago. Yeah, I get kind of Gareth Bale kind of vibes. You know, when he started off as a wing back. I don't know if that's a bit too mad to say. But
his name's caught my eye here, Earl. I mean, come on, give me out of 10. What are our chances here?
Well, it's a difficult one as well because you've got the Monchi factor as well. So he's obviously Monchi's coming from Sevilla. I don't know what the relationship is there.
Are you saying there's the Monchi tax? Have we got tax to pay?
Well, yeah. I don't know. I don't know that kind of stuff behind the scenes, but potentially,
yeah. Cool. Well, I think this has been really interesting to have a look at numbers and how things are looking as well. And I find all of this really fascinating, that the fact that we've sort of looked at these names and the data, and an actual player that we've been linked with heavily has been able to pop up as well. So I think that's really cool in itself. So, we're going to have a little bit of fun and find out what Villa fans want. So we're going to have a little look now at what Villa fans want from a right back. So, and we can comment on some of them, and if anything pops out to you, then let me know. So Jed Flash has put a steady ship at the back, but with the confidence and ability to take opponents on and to overlap the winger. So I think that one's important, that we need a winger to start with. And if Bailey's going, then we currently don't have a winger. Captain K has put either a wand of a right foot like Trippier or Trent, or the speed and strength of a prime Kyle Walker. Do you think we can regen that player out of anywhere?
I think Kyle Walker might be available. Probably a bit old, but
okay, here's a good one. So Mark Sturch has put the ability and confidence to go past his man and not turn back every time. Seems that Garcia has it.
I would agree with that, to be fair. I really like Garcia. I think he maybe made one mistake that I can remember. But yeah, I think he's got that confidence other than that to get forward, like you say. So
yeah, Duncan Taylor, the ability to defend and cross the ball from deep. We've got another one here from Adam Hewitt saying pace. Notts Villa, to regularly go past the halfway line and pass forward. There's a running theme here, isn't there, Earl? There's a running theme that people have spotted. David has put, given our defensive frailties, the ability to defend is tops, but also positive distribution whenever possible. So would that mean a bit more of a defensive minded with someone that can at times go forward as well?
Yeah, I think that's the one I'm leaning to be honest. Like you say, we've got that kind of system where the left back gets forward a lot. Maybe we don't need the right back to do that as much, especially if we're bringing in a new winger. So yeah, I agree. Someone that's defensively solid is high on my priorities personally as well.
Neil has put an absolutely crucial one in here: to stop crosses going into the box. That is also something that last season happened far too regular for me on both sides. having that sort of just that nous about them to know the importance of what can happen if that ball does go in. I think sometimes it's a little bit like, I'll stick my foot out and forget it, I get it. And, whatever happens when it goes in there, I think that's huge. We've got a headband. So, again, obviously knows the players that I like. Anyone with a headband, I think probably the only one on that one was like Christiansen on your list there, Earl, that I can think of off the top of my head. Shane has put ability to defend, as simple as it sounds. We've got Andy has put, if he's right back, then the first thing he needs to be able to do is defend, stop crosses, good at 1v1 situations. Gerald has put being able to defend, and Salacious Crumb has put, call me old-fashioned, but it would be nice if he could defend, and the Roberto Carlos stuff after. But I'm not fussy as long as he don't cut back for cash. And then finally, Ray has put needs to brave and not keep passing backwards. No offense, Cash. So those are the thoughts of the Villa fans. I asked the question, what would you like to see from a right back? So I think we've sort of painted a picture of what we can expect and what we want from a right back. I think this position is probably the position for me that I really want to lock down. I just think it's that important. I mean, finally, like priority wise, how high is it on your list?
It's probably number 2 on my list. I'd say a right winger would be my number 1. But yeah, right back would be right behind. Literally.
Yeah, literally like backing your right winger up. So it's very early on in the window, and I know we've got, and it's so annoying talking about like PSR and stuff. Do you feel like we will go out and actively spend some decent money on these players that we're looking for? What's your vibe?
Yeah, well, I think we always do. To be fair, I mean, we always find a way. We balance the books. Make one. It's not going to be. We're not going to get a big signing in each of these positions that we're looking at. We'll probably, we've seen it the past few summers. Last summer we had, 2 big signings: Onana, Maatsen. Probably be, similar sort of thing. We're looking at maybe 1 or 2 big players, and then the others will be these younger type players who we can grow and mold and hopefully make them world class.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, your work is always top class, what you produce here for us. So what we'll say then, if you've enjoyed this one, then we've obviously highlighted right back as a position that we want to recruit in. We can do the same for right wingers, left-sided, strikers, etc., goalkeepers. So if you want to see more of this type of content, then let us know in the comment section down below. And hopefully you've all enjoyed it. And thanks, Earl, for coming on. So up the Villa.